Okay, so let's just start. Actually, that was a really good way to start. Just a little laugh, a little, I don't know, just a way to just bring ourselves into the moment. And laughter is such a great way to do that, to really find the times during the day when you can bring a smile, have a laugh. Because the truth is, it releases our endorphins. It really opens us up. And when we can bring that laugh to the moment of something, it helps us to be present. And then to remember the feeling inside of our bodies. And the same is true when we cry or when we just express whatever is coming up, the feelings and the thoughts, because always with the thought is going to be an emotion. And so getting comfortable with expressing thought and emotion is actually really good for our health. But always to know that the way we express it has got to be good for us so we can release the thoughts, release the emotions. But we always have to temper it with the greater good for everyone so that we are not rushing into negative thoughts, negative confrontations. And if we do, because it happens as we are human, we realize the impact that it has on the other person. And we realize the impact that it has on ourselves. All of our interactions have impact, no matter how big, no matter how small. And when we are aware, we bring awareness to that impact. We can always change the impact to be a more positive impact instead of leaving a negative impression that often lasts. It's not to say that we are out to please everyone. There are times when we have to know we can't. It's not to say we are out to get everyone, because that's not the way humanity works. We live in that village that we've talked about so many times. It takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a village to continue the village. It takes a loving, caring community where people are free to express their emotions and free to express their opinions and thoughts without being attacked. And that we may not agree. In fact, it's likely that we won't agree with many things that people say and do. But how does it affect us? And how does it affect others? We must look at the ways that it affects us, because it's always going to be an emotional effect. And if we live our lives in a place of anger or sadness or those challenging emotions, without releasing them, it's going to manifest itself in illness, whether that be physical illness or mental illness. And so we learn ways through being mindful, we learn ways to formulate our thoughts, to express our emotions in ways that allow us to get it out, but without harming others. And if we do slip up and we do say or do something that is harmful to others, we are responsible for that, individually responsible, and we can sit back, reflect, and then make reparation or amends for having hurt someone. But we must be careful that we're not doing that time and time again. Instead of always asking for forgiveness, we begin to see it in a more positive light. As we are mindful in the moment, present when we are interacting, and we watch the impact we have. We see it in others. When we say or do something, we watch for how the other person is receiving it. And if they are receiving it in a positive, loving, nurturing way, that's our green light. But if we see them cringe, or we see them turn away or cry, that's our red light to stop and to think about our words and actions. Because when we live in the present moment from a place of mindfulness, we are mindful of our hearts and our minds. We will be the change that we want to be. We will have that ripple effect around the world, one tiny drop at a time. But it is, as we've said many times, about the oxygen mask. We learn the skills. We practice our practice by putting our oxygen mask on first, and then reaching out to others to help. And sometimes that is us just sitting in stillness, allowing things to rise, allowing thoughts to appear, and finding a good, solid way of letting them go. And so as we sit in the silence this morning, let's just be present with what is. Let's just be aware of what's stirring inside of us and needs to come up. In order to do that, we have to rally our courage. Because sometimes what comes up is that laughter, that release in that way. But sometimes it's more challenging, and there's going to be a fear that arises. But we know, based on our experience, that we have the tools. we have the inner wisdom. And so we'll sit in silence until you hear my voice again. May our minds be free of burden. May our hearts be open for love. May we find peace and harmony in our lives.